The last thing that we're going to look at is this newsletter box on the right of our landing page. Let's start by giving that article a class of newsletter. Let's start by looking at the general styles. All the text is white and centered, and it has some padding on the inside. If we look, it also has this blue background with subtle icons dotted on it. There's an image for this in the Assets folder. So let's add our background shorthand declaration. Make sure it has a blue background and then add the image in the Assets folder. We don't want it to repeat, and we want it positioned in the center. We also want to make sure that it covers the entire box, so we'll set our background size to cover. Let's change the background color of the button within this box to be the dark color in the design. If we take a look at the design, we'll see that it sits next to the input and that the input is stretched to the same height of the button. We can achieve this effect with Flexbox. So let's add Flexbox to the form in this card. By default, both elements are stretched, so the input is now the same height as the button. We want a little bit of space underneath this form as well, so let's add this while we're here. The input needs a little bit of tidying up. It's got slightly rounded corners, and you can see a faint border in this input. We need to remove that. If we check the design at the rounded corners, you'll notice that they're just on the top left and the bottom left, not on the right side. Let's use our shorthand and enter the correct values for it. So our first value is top left, our second value is top right, our third value is bottom right, and our fourth value is bottom left. That's much better. The little paragraph underneath this form is actually smaller than the rest of the text if we check our design. Let's add a class to just that paragraph. And we can use it to make that font smaller. Now all that's left to do is to make it move down to be in line with the rest of the cards. We could have laid our page out to make this easier, but we would have had to change our markup to do so. We need to add space to the entire column here, just in case another piece of content gets added to this sidebar or removed. It doesn't matter what order the content would be in, or if you took it away, the space above it would be sitting on the column, so it wouldn't affect the content. So we need a margin at the top. And because we've been using rem values for our vertical units throughout, what we need to do is add up the font size and the margins and any gaps that are created by this header here. And that should give us the exact margin to put on top of this aside. Great. Let's remove our wrapper border and have a look. That page looks good. And our article page looks good as well. Well done. There are some tricky parts in there, but I hope it helped you practice everything you have learnt and given you examples to go away with. This is just the beginning of HTML and CSS. There is a lot more that can help you to create some really stunning interfaces.